Okay, we are recording this week's Midweek Howl. You saw the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast. I always got to do that disclaimer for new listeners so they don't think we're going to talk about Bigfoot or UFOs or anything, even though we might.
We might.
We might.
You don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we might. We might. But you sound really good on your mic because we got our instructions from Phil, the producer, that you
better
weren't
than I normally do, or what?
Yeah, you sound clear. Like maybe
I got
you're
the
close.
same mic.
But are you closer to the mic?
I'll put it in front of me instead of beside me.
Okay. Well,
I just moved it just for you. That's what I said. Just for him, not for you. For him.
Not for me. Well, here's the thing: is you get very self-conscious when you're talking on the mic. You feel like
you do, or I do.
Well,
I don't. That's why I sounded so bad for him all these times.
But I don't know how close to be to the mic because he gets after me because sometimes my voice gets loud. But
like you're too close?
Well, like I'm too excited. Like you say something, I'm too excited.
Well, that's because you enjoy this.
Yeah, I know. I really enjoy it. It's one of the highlights of my week. But he is telling me we should almost have the mic right up to our face and speak, just
like
speak,
a CB mic?
Yeah, like speak, just regular voice into the mic.
I'm going to watch King's Speech again. And
is that what you're going to do? Okay.
Did you see the King's Speech? You obviously haven't. That's why you didn't get that when I threw that out there. So
no, but you've talked to me about it. You've told me.
Mm-hmm.
You've told me about
the King got cancer too. I'm not talking about Toby Keith. I'm talking about King Charles. We're going to lose all the good people this week, aren't we?
Wasn't that kind of a crock for him? You get into that position and then all of a sudden your mom lives till she's like 110.
You don't think those kids are poisoning him, do you?
I don't know. The royal family is more up your alley than me. You're well traveled.
I'm from the royal family.
You're from the royal.
One of my uncles I spent a lot of time with passed away on Saturday. So
really,
mm-hmm.
Really, what? How old was he?
72. Be 72 in June.
Now, age-wise, do you think that's about the right? Because I had this. Well, you know who else died last week was Carl Weathers. Okay.
Yeah, and he was in good shape still.
He was in good shape, and so that brought up a discussion between me and some of my friends back here. My one buddy is he went through a divorce, and he owns the condo his mom lives in with him. But his mom is in her mid-80s, and she's starting to really deteriorate mentally and physically. And we kind of were talking to her she made it almost 10 years longer than Carl Weathers,
and probably never worked out a day in her life.
Never worked out a day in her life. But what would you rather do? Would you rather live to 76 and be in really good shape and still
and rich and famous, or
be
in a condo with my son?
Be in the condo
at 84. I'll take the money and the fame, dude. I mean, my 53-year-old son or whatever going through divorce, that's the last thing I want to sit around and listen to.
But that wasn't really the parameters for this question.
Right.
The question was, would you rather go peacefully in your sleep at 76 or live 10 more years and have some of those years may not be so great? And, his answer was, sign me up for going at 76 in my sleep if I'm able to do everything I want to do up until that age.
Yeah, just shut you off like a light. You're not, my uncle spent, the last 8-10 days in the hospital. So, I mean, what do you do?
I don't know. And I alluded to, I've been sick here the last couple of weeks and the last 3 or 4 years, I get sick about the same time of the year. And it gets bad. It's a bad cold. And it really affects me mentally because not only am I sick,
you're being reminded of your
my mortality.
Oh, I should say, shit, my old man's in the hospital while we're doing this too.
Oh, geez.
So, yeah, I mean, hell, it's happening. It happens.
I know, and I'm being reminded of my mortality, and then my mind starts wandering when I wake up at night, from coughing or something, and and you start wondering, if I die, is anybody gonna even remember me? Do my kids,
Jesus,
are they ever coming
you were
around?
running this in the ditch, Jack. I mean,
I know.
I mean, what do you mean? First of all, you got 100 episodes with me. I won't say they'll enjoy it when in 1,000 years when the archaeologists dig through what's remaining of this old world and find these tapes or whatever they are on.
Do you think they'll have a new appreciation for what we did? And by the way,
we could be like Van Gogh or some of these people that don't find fame until they're gone.
Yeah. But hey, by the way, we're almost at 200 episodes of just the Howler. So keep that in mind. Not 100.
As you can tell, I'm unemployed.
You're unemployed. But it was so bad the other night. I got up in the middle of the night. I knew if I laid there, my mind was going to go. I got up at like 3 a.m. and did the dishes, cleaned up the kitchen a little bit.
You just got freaking married the other day.
It's not the other day. It's been 8 months, man.
Yeah, but she married a sickly guy like you? Or is she poisoning you? You got all that good post office insurance or something. Maybe she's wanting to cash that check.
I don't know. I did, but it's and I don't know if it's the being sick that affects me, because I'm not normally like that. It's like, hey, we got lots of stuff to do. We got busy, full lives, and so I feel like it's a byproduct of being sick, and I just wondered why being sick affects my.
Well, it's because mental. You realize that there is some mortality. Nobody's getting out of this alive. That's what they used to say down at the Knights of Columbus Hall, where I'm from.
The Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, nobody's getting out of this here alive. And it's kind of a joke, but it's not.
No,
and I think if people really lived like they were dying, would they be different? I think they would. I
think you are correct. I think people would be a lot kinder. Yeah, well, I think somebody did. Tim McGraw put that song out there, but he didn't write it. Just so you know, he didn't write it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think people would be a lot kinder, be a lot more understanding. And I always go back, I hate to say it, I go back to my girls and I'm like, I feel like I wouldn't have these thoughts or feelings if everything was okay with my daughters. If I knew they were, we were communicating and stuff. So I keep trying. So hopefully that's the missing piece that will make my head not spin around when I get like this. But what we want to get to is Toby Keith, though. I woke up this morning and the news that Toby Keith passed away, and
I didn't even know he was sick.
He's been fighting stomach cancer for quite a while, and and me and our buddy David Wade were talking today because we had pitched some songs it's been 5-6 years ago. Tried to get him on a couple projects with David Allen Coe, actually, and we were hoping at the time he was going to sing on "You Never Called Me by My Name," the remix of it, and he didn't rule it out, but it just never, we haven't got back. That project hasn't got finished. So, we were talking, and Wade had a point. He goes, Toby Keith is a lot more well off than us, money wise, and even him having that kind of money and fame, and probably had a lot better doctors than the normal person. He goes, he still couldn't beat it. He goes, so you just got to kind of look at it as when it's your time, it's your time. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter what you're gonna, what you got in the tank. It's not going to be enough. You're gonna, like they say at the Knights of Columbus out in the Ozarks, you're not making it out alive, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's in Taos where they say that, not quite the Ozarks. There's not a lot of Catholics in the Ozarks, but that's a whole nother podcast.
But I think, like somebody like Toby Keith and like Carl Weathers, it's kind of cool to, take the time to remember all the great things those guys did and all the happiness they brought people. And I'm, for my money, that Toby Keith song, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was.
Yeah.
That kind of sums up getting old.
Where we're at in this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, he was a talented dude, and but thankfully his oh, you're playing some Toby Keith?
It just popped up on my phone. There you go. It must have heard. It's listening to you. You know, them Apple people are listening to you.
Oh man. But speaking of listening to us, a listener reached out to us on Facebook on our After the Shadows. Brenda, who's a truck driver, says, wrote this nice little thing and said she loves listen. She must have heard a episode of me and you talking about bad reviews. And she kind of just said, don't listen to anything. You guys keep doing what you're doing. We bring her a lot of joy while she's out there on the road driving truck. And that kind of warms my heart, that people find comfort out with us. I'm
gonna tell you that, to me, that I'm promoting her to super fan. I told you when you said a woman truck driver, I thought, my God, it's gonna be my crazy ass aunts. I got a couple aunts that are, well, technically retired truck drivers, but the truck driver is like a Marine. You're old, once a truck driver, always a truck driver. Yeah. I can't. And I have an Aunt Brenda, but she ain't a truck driver. She's got her own issues.
She's got her own. I don't think it's the same Brenda. Let's hope not. Let's hope she doesn't have issues. I mean, but you got to be tough to be a truck driver, I would think.
You know what? You got to be tough. It's mentally tough for all the bureaucrats in the BS, the log books. Everybody except for ag products got to have electronic logbook now. These automatic trucks, a lot of these trucks turn themselves off when they're up close to time. You know what I mean? So
they do.
If you're pulling in the parking lot and you got to back up the loading dock and you are at your 10 hours that day or whatever your time is, they'll shut off on you, and that truck's going to sit there for 8 hours out of service until they either get another driver in there or you get 8 hours off.
It just shuts the truck off?
Yep.
Wow. They're serious about that, huh?
And it's just stupidity, but at the same time, they'll make cops and emergency service people work 24 hours a day, you know what I mean, or 30 hours a day, or the post office. I mean, hell, you could freaking wipe out a mail truck and lose 1,000 packages. What's worse? Wiping an 18-wheeler out or losing my Amazon order?
Well, so as law enforcement, did that ever, do you think that is a good thing for the truck drivers, though? I mean, did you come across
this is what I think they're an easy target for the bureaucrats to screw with somebody. That's what they are. And pass the cost on to the customer.
Because they can't fight back or whatever, right. They're not
I think
organized.
Probably 50 years ago, the trucks were dangerous and bad. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But now it's probably one of the safest industries out there, and they still get harassed.
I gotcha.
And it's because they've made a cottage industry, or not even a cottage industry. They've made a freaking $1 billion industry out of screwing with truck drivers. Just like the OSHA rules, right? So you got to take an 8-hour and a 10-hour and a 30-hour and a 40-hour. You know what I'm talking about when I say OSHA training for industrial or heavy highway projects or whatever, okay? Yeah. So 50 years ago, you hired a freaking guy that didn't fall off the ledge because he knew it was fucking dangerous, okay? Nowadays, when you got to hire these dipshits, you got to send them to a week of school to teach them how to not get hurt because they don't have the inborn instinct to be safe. You know what I mean? Look at all the freaking warning labels and shit they put on stuff now. And this, I sold something on eBay the other day, and it prompted me to put a California something. If you eat it, plastic, it might cause cancer. I'm like, if you eat this 2-pound piece of plastic, you deserve to die.
And a slow, agonizing cancerous death. Huh?
If you'd let these Tide Pod eaters eat a little more plastic, it wouldn't be floating around in the ocean. You know,
God.
you could be saving the planet.
Oh my gosh.
If them kids ate that lead paint, it wouldn't be out there in the water no more.
Yeah, so somebody ate the lead paint, this drinking water would be safer.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah. Think how safe what was that place up in Michigan last Flint. Yeah, think how safe that'd be if they just let those kids go back to eating paint. Hell, it'd turn them into rappers like Eminem. I mean, think about that.
God. Oh my gosh. So the lead in the water in Flint, Michigan is what spawned Eminem.
I don't know.
It's kind of like growing up
crazy
in Compton.
world. I was on the phone with a friend of mine a while ago, and I don't even know. I can't even take this thing on this podcast on the road we were on, and it just. I got to go up and check my lottery tickets. If I can win a couple $100,000, I'm checked out. I'm done. I'm over the hill. This old world's almost too much for me anymore.
It's not that bad.
I'm not saying it's that bad, but I'm giving up trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Well, suddenly now I feel better about maybe being able to go back to sleep at 3:00 in the morning when I wake up and my mind starts racing. I might as well just say, look, there's no point in it.
I can't believe you got up at 3:00 in the morning and started doing dishes.
I did. There was nothing to. I have to. It's just I get this feeling like if I don't do something to keep busy, then I'm going to go down a road that I don't want to go down.
Mentally or physically or what?
No, mentally, not physically. What am I going to do?
In bed?
Physically?
You're going to go to these dark places in bed?
Well,
I don't know if we should keep talking about this out loud. I mean, shouldn't you pause the recording? We don't want to,
Yeah, I'll be okay. Nobody's showing up at the front door.
You are until you ain't.
With a straight jacket. Well, I think the fact that I know that that I'm struggling a little bit sometimes, that I'm all right. I think it's the people that don't know.
Yeah, that's what they say. It's in the success is in the suffering, right? So the poor people that don't ever worry or struggle, they never.
Are they truly successful?
Do they ever experience anything?
I don't know.
Do they appreciate it? I don't know.
But I will say this though. I always wondered, like, how could people pick up in January, February, and just everybody would go to Florida?
Pretty damn easy.
Are you
kidding me? Pretty damn easy. Throw me another hard.
I'm beginning to see it. Like we had a stretch here where there was like 12 days of no sun. And I'm like, I can't deal with this. I need some sun every once in a while. And now I understand why people head to Florida. Because it's depressing. It doesn't help then when you get sick and you're inside too and you can't do anything. So I think I got Christy convinced that we might be purchasing someplace further south for January and February here once old Izzy goes off to college, so we can get out of this Ohio weather. Holy smokes, this is terrible. But we really haven't had much of a winter, other than we had a week it was really cold. So I shouldn't complain too much, but I will. But so I want to go back to your aunts being truck drivers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
How did they end up truck drivers?
Lucky, I suppose. My grandpa, their dad was a truck driver, and those kids were just raised hard, and they learned how to drive early and often, and they weren't scared to drive a truck.
And
I mean, my one aunt, Linda, she moved down and was driving gas trucks and stuff out of Houston back in the Gillies days. I mean, she was at Gillies, the real Gillies, on the weekends, and I mean, I could make a damn movie about her.
Hanging out at Mickey Gillies' place?
I mean, you just the wildness.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, let me think. Do what?
Well, I just wondered, like, so she hauled gas.
Yeah, or whatever, tanker. She just didn't matter. She'd drive whatever. I got a couple of aunts that are in their late 60s now that had never been married, never had kids, and they just did, I don't want to say manly jobs, but certainly blue collar stuff.
And I mean, it's like, if they own their own truck, it's like they own their own business, right?
Right.
So they're not.
Hey, I'll tell you a story. I got an aunt, my dad's sister, a couple years younger than him, and she was a bridge inspector for the Missouri Department of Transportation. Now, my great grandma was Indian. My dad and most of his siblings almost looked Mexican or pretty dark complected guys and gals. Okay, so the only reason I throw that in there is this: my aunt was a bridge inspector for MoDOT, and she had this Indian look, and they were redoing the surface of what's now the old Missouri River Bridge, and they sheeted it with 4x8. They covered this whole thing with 4x8 plywood and then poured a new surface. They sheeted it from the bottom, and they had a safety net in case you fell down into the river. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To keep you from falling down the river. Well, my old man worked for the bridge contractor, and in a briefing, he told these guys, "Hey, when you're taking them sheets off, if one of them feels like it's going to fall or go somewhere, just get back and let it fall. And if it goes in the river, because I think there was a fine if it fell in the river, or you know what I mean. That part of the safety net was to catch this debris from falling into the damn river. It's like the Ohio River, right? It's got so much crap floating in it, right? So in the safety meeting, he said, "Hey, if plywood starts to fall, get away from it, let it fall. Basically, don't get hurt trying to save any of this stuff." You know what I mean? If we have to pay a fine, we just got to pay a fine. So one of those guys ran straight over to the MoDOT bridge inspector that was there and ratted my old man out for it, not knowing that was his little sister. Because just how rough they all talked and everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, my old man had to go over there and tell him to get off the site, fired him. But I don't know where I'm going with this, but my dad's the oldest of 13, and when you got 13 kids in the 50s, buddy, they with no money, they grow up rough, and they drive a truck and they eat bologna and do what they got to do.
I mean, I'm sure they saw some. I mean, I can't imagine driving a truck in the 60s.
I wish I could get my uncle. I got an uncle that's damn near on his deathbed, and not besides the one that passed away yesterday, and my old man that's in the hospital today. I got another one of these boys. He's a retired truck driver, over the road guy, and my one that died on Saturday, he was a retired Teamster. So there's a dozen truckers in my family, but he can tell you he went on his first trip. He was 15, I think, 14 or 15, and his uncle, my grandma's brother, two of those guys were truck drivers. And in the summertime, he wanted to go somewhere, and they said, "Well, you can get in the truck." And grandma, my great grandma, his grandma said, "If you get in that truck, you'll be gone for a month." And he said he looked out there, and there was the only thing was square bales to haul, to buck, and hogs to feed. And he got in that truck as fast as he could.
Suddenly riding around in a truck looks a lot easier than farm work.
Yeah, but when you talk to him, and I think that was 65, I think he's 66, because he graduated in 71, I think. And anyhow, he talked about cab over truck, no air conditioning, wing windows. I mean, think about that. The interstate system wasn't completely done.
Did they even have power steering in those trucks?
Some of them, if you had a good truck.
Oh, my God.
To go up to my little brother, the one I'm with all the time, posting them trucks and stuff. He hauls, sometimes he's a backup driver over here in an outfit that hauls a bunch of ag products. And the guy's tied in with, I want to say, Polaris. That every 3 or 4 years they change out the Polaris trucks, that they pull all those water sports or the snowmobile teams around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
And big, fast trucks. My brother got pulled over going 106 miles an hour in Kansas with a big old.
Oh, gee.
Peterbilt conventional. Yeah, I mean, so to go from in 50 years or whatever, to go from no
power steering,
no power steering, no air conditioning, cab overs, very limited space, to being able to go 100 miles an hour, big super singles automatics, 800 horsepower Caterpillar engines, analog brakes, sensors everywhere. Now they've got the electric trucks approved here to where they can cross Missouri. The lead truck is got a driver, but the 9 behind him are Bluetooth together, and they're approved to cross the state of Missouri in tandem.
With no drivers?
With driverless trucks, yeah. Google it, driverless trucks. Mm-hmm. They're big out west, Arizona, New Mexico, California's been running them for 3 years now.
Holy smokes. Nah, you just gave me a whole nother thing to worry about in the middle of the night. Driverless truck.
Now, you were saying about the lifespan being 70, unless you're out on the road with those people, maybe. I don't know.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.